Ooh, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Happy Life with Maria podcast. Today we have one of my favorite guests that I've been looking forward to interview since the beginning of time. Her name is Catherine Duncan. She is a spiritual consultant, a healer, an author, a speaker, and an all around magical human being that I am
Mm.
most excited to interview. Welcome, Catherine.
So nice to see you, Maria. Thank you for having me on. And thank you
So,
for the introduction. Super sweet.
yeah, so I just want to straight up tell everybody that I have your new book,
Mm.
Everyday Awakening, and I got it on Amazon, and I have so many notes, so many margin pages on it. It is literally life changing for me. And also, I
Mm.
noticed Mel Robbins
I
gave you a little bit of
know. I know.
endorsement.
That
That's
was exciting.
incredible. That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with this book. I hope everybody gets this book.
Mm.
As I was telling you, I am somebody who is very into spiritual learnings and teachings. I have been studying all these things for about 15 years now from my own
Mm.
journey, and got certified in all kinds of things. And even for me, this book is so helpful.
Mm.
Literally some basic practical things like how to stay in the present moment are more powerful than people realize. Like that
Mm.
little simple shift of choosing to stay in the present moment is already so valuable. I wish people could understand, but we'll get into
Mm.
all that. First, if you don't mind, if you could please share a little bit of your background, your story, whatever you're comfortable to share. We'd love to get to know you for those who don't know you.
So my background, I'm an integrative spiritual consultant. I spent years working as a chaplain at our level 1 trauma hospital and a hospice chaplain.
Wow.
Before that, I took a 15-year detour in the corporate world. I worked for Time Magazine. So huge change from the corporate world to following my heart's calling of helping
Oh,
and working with people. And yeah, I've never looked back. It's just the richness of being able to work with people. Now I have a private practice and provide emotional spiritual support, and yes, still involved with my book and book tour in the country and speaking and a
oh.
podcast. And now I have a podcast called Everyday Awakening, where I interview people about what it means to be alive all over the world.
I love that. Thank you so much. What a beautiful introduction. I'm so excited for your new podcast. I'm going to go check it out. And, I think what's beautiful to hear from me is that you consciously made the choice to leave corporate, which is technically a comfortable,
Oh,
paying
mhm.
job. What was that like? How did you get the strength, the bravery to let go of the safety?
Exactly. And I followed my family path. I have 5 older siblings and my father,
Oh.
consummate businessman. So after college, everyone in my family went into business. So that's what I did. And I started a couple city magazines in the Twin Cities here in Minneapolis, and then joined Time Magazine, which was like the job in print. And I loved meeting people. It was, and the glamorous job of flying on Time's corporate jet and traveling and all that. Great money. But, it was interesting. Well, I'd say 7, 8 years into it, my heart just started to feel restless. Like, is this it? And I would go on business trips and bring a stack of books on life and meaning and purpose. And my colleagues were like, "What are you doing?" Like, "What are you reading?" And this stems from my childhood,
Yes,
coming
I want
close
to
to
get into
dying,
that.
and
Tell us
yeah,
about that. I heard there was
yeah,
an incident when you were 11 years old. Tell us about that.
yeah. So, yeah, when I was 11, 10 years old, turning 11, I was suddenly gravely ill. I was diagnosed with a really rare childhood cancer. I went through really intensive treatments, and it was a lot. I mean, my parents were told I had a 20% chance to survive. So I could feel I was between life and death. And that's when out of nowhere I started to pray, and faith had meant nothing, but I just like I wanted to live. And that's when this feeling of presence, peace poured through my body, and a knowing that I just knew I was going to live, I was going to be okay. That feeling's been with me to this moment. So that is life changing. And that was part of, in my 30s, working at Time Magazine, making all this money. But I'm like, is this really it? So I think that was part of it, and why I was searching,
Wow.
like reading and life and meaning and
Wow.
purpose. And then, haha, look at
That's
what I
really
did. I write a
great.
book on it.
Wow, what a powerful question. Is
Uh,
this really it? Because, if we just don't pay attention and keep going and going, going with the autopilot, 60, 70 years into our life, we arrive at, our destination. We're like, what did we do with our life?
mhm,
And by then it's too late. So having that, I guess, awareness of where is this going?
mhm.
And making the choice of, wait a minute, I don't know if this is how I want to spend my limited time here. We
Yeah.
have a limited time here. It's
Yeah.
like a gift. I feel like it's a gift being on the
Mm.
planet Earth, especially right now at this time with everything shifting and changing. And and do we really want to spend it in fear, in just being in the normal mode of, well, I have to stay safe, so I have to be here and I'm just gonna quietly keep doing that for the rest of my life? Or, like you were doing, be brave enough to take a chance, to take a step into the unknown. Usually it's like the fear of the unknown, I feel like, is what stops people. Like, how is this going to go? Is this going to work? Like, taking that chance and see where it leads, that's like a very brave step that I feel a lot of people are very scared to do. So I commend you on on
Yeah.
making that choice, which I'm sure was not easy because you had a family already, right?
Yeah. And I think it comes down to listening. I mean, I was just feeling like this rumbling and unease, and I chose to listen and feel into it and sense into it. And everything we're talking about, it's a choice for all of us. How are we living? What are we choosing? Even coming back to the beginning when you're talking about being in the moment, being present, it's about being here now, not in our mind where our mind can run our lives, but feeling into the moment. And we are all guided. We are, but it's in the moment. It's not in our mind, and sensing and feeling and hearing. And that's where I get all my guidance.
Wow.
So, and I did have pushback. What I mean? When I left the corporate world, luckily, my husband was like, okay. And so that was huge, that he's like, yeah, leave Time Warner to study theology. But my father, who, bless his heart, we're very close. He's been gone 19 years. When I told him that I left my job with Time Magazine and I was going to study theology, I have a vivid memory of him at the kitchen table in front of my, at the time, 7-year-old son, Owen. He started screaming and yelling and pounding the table, and he's like geology, and I'm like, no, theology. It's just a
Funny.
paradigm shift, but he became my biggest supporter before he died.
Oh, wow. That's a beautiful memory. Thank you for sharing. That's incredible. But I love how you mentioned that one of the biggest pushes was you listening to your inner,
Mhm.
I guess, guidance system. Would you please share more about how we can connect to this guidance system, which I believe is in all of us?
All of us. It starts first in my book, Everyday Waking. The very first practice is come back to the present moment. Just that is a consciousness and a practice of how can we feel into right now, not living head up, but coming down, feeling our breath, feeling breath coming out of our body, or sitting and looking, using your senses, looking, seeing, sensing, feeling, bringing you into the moment. That's where you start. And then what I have experienced is, can you just be in the moment, accepting the moment for what it is, the good, the bad? That's a lot to just hold life here and now, being present. And in that space, I feel like that's where we get a sense, and every one of us hearing this today is different. It might be a feeling sense, a nudging, a knowing, a sensing, a seeing. Like it just, we are all guided. There's words for this: clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience. All these knowings and the guidance come when we're still, when we're silent, when we're present. It's there.
Oh, that is so powerful. The guidance comes when we're still, when we're
Mhm.
silent. That's when we can hear it. But if we're go, 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 the next thing, I have to get this project done, that project done, it's going to be very difficult to hear the guidance, the help, the assistance. Like I think you say in your book, that
Mhm.
we have help available to us. We
Mm.
have so much available from the upper worlds, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
that is ready to help us. But the only way they can do that is if we get out of the way and if we are open to receiving that guidance. Talk about, please, if you can, some tips on how we can be open to receive guidance.
Mhm. And as I was starting to say, some of these practices in my book, I have 42 exercises. So everything from breathing to meditating to body movements, toning, working with energy, all these. But for people listening, just what speaks to you? It might be a breath exercise. It might be listening to a guided meditation. It might be getting outside and just walking outside. And here's an idea: when you go for a walk, instead of maybe having AirPods or listening to something, can you just be present and on your walk for 5 minutes using your senses? So for the first minute, you're walking and you're just paying attention to what you see and the beauty all around. And then what do you hear? And then what do you smell? What do you taste? I mean, what do you sense? I mean, just that brings us into the moment. So inviting everyone, like, what speaks to you to help calm your mind? Even the practice, and I love this. You have a busy day, you don't have time to do much, but you could, I would imagine most everyone could take 5 minutes. Maybe it's between meetings or picking up kids or whatever that is, even right before dinner, where let's say you go in a room, you sit down, and for 5 minutes, you're just still, you're just present. And you'll notice our minds will like choo, 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 keep chiming in, wanting to take over, but just keep coming back, even putting your hands on your chest and just breathe. 5 minutes of some stillness. Oh, is that powerful?
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Yes, I do agree that if we choose consciously to stop and take 5 minutes in the middle of the day, at the end of the day, whenever you can. I mean, I would highly say it would be helpful in the middle of the day so you can pause in the middle and stop the circus from continuing. And just consciously choosing to stop and 5 minutes of awareness of bringing
Mhm.
yourself into the body. And I feel like, yeah, that's so powerful. That would help us connect to our inner guidance system, to the higher power, and receive the next step, receive the guidance, or just to calm down, to stop the storm for a minute. And then it shifts. I feel like it would shift the trajectory of the day. Like it literally will move you in a more flow state, I feel like.
Yeah, and here's the research. 5 minutes of doing breathing, meditating, physiologically positively changes our body. It's called the relaxation response. Dr. Herbert Benson from the 70s. It stimulates our parasympathetic nervous system. Here's what it does: it calms our heart rate, our blood pressure, lowers our cortisol level, starting with 5 minutes. So we have the power to self regulate, to calm our nervous system, and bring peace into our body. And it's a practice, a choice of practice.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Um, the thing that's coming to my mind is, what do you say to people who have so many things coming at them? Let's say it's a work day and they have, person A, person B, person C all coming to them at once with a request, and they all want it now. How does someone, I guess, detach from the pressure and stay centered?
Good question. Well, I've experienced this quite a number of times in my private practice. I work with executives, owners of businesses, attorneys, doctors. So let's just take, I'm thinking of a doctor, world famous doctor, actually really well known, and leading her in 5 minutes of breathing together. 5 minutes, we did it together. And there was just this like, oh, a dropping in for a moment of like, oh my
Ah,
gosh. So it's actually experiencing it, because once you experience a little bit of stillness where things slow down, your mind, that go, go, go starts to slow down. You're like, oh, there's breathing room. There's a spaciousness. They're just like, oh, here I am. And I've had that with many people, but it's experiencing it to start and feeling it to start to then, oh, that's what that is, to understand it, to then choose, I want more of that.
so consciously choosing to have more minutes of your day where you are calm, more minutes of your day where you are at peace,
Mm-hmm.
instead of go, go, go. I have a
Yeah.
project to do. they need this and they need that. And, as doctors and lawyers, probably they have so many people coming at them during the day with emergencies, and it's all right now. And being able to internally say, breathe,
Mm-hmm.
I will get to it at the right time. It's kind of like, I feel like it's an internal dialogue we have to have with ourselves. Would you
It,
agree?
it- I agree. And it's like an expansion, and it's a consciousness. You start to open and realize, huh, I'm not actually my mind. I'm not that thought. I'm not that feeling. I'm that stillness. You start to feel and experience that stillness, our essence, that whatever you want to call it, witness, awareness behind that thought, behind that feeling, and realizing, huh, I'm not that. And it just expands our sense of who we are in this world, and our level of consciousness starts to open up.
Oh, interesting. I like that you said, I'm not that. Tell us more about that.
Mhm. Well, we all know, as we're talking right now, that we can watch our thoughts. Like when we're talking using our mind, we can watch, oh, I'm talking, oh, but I'm thinking about what am I going to do for dinner tonight? Or your mind can go so many ways. But we can watch our thoughts and our feelings, tuning in. Oh, wow, I'm feeling kind of anxious, or I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling some joyfulness. We can name and watch our thoughts and feelings, and to really understand, I'm saying this right now and you're aware of this, wow, well, then who am I? I'm that essence, that stillness
Mm.
behind the thought, behind the feeling. And I think when we experientially, experience this through breathing, through meditating, where we drop, our mind starts to slow down, and we feel we are energy. Everything is energy. We're energy. We have an energy field, and we start to tune in and feel that vibration. It's like, oh, that's who we are. There it is.
I love that. So what you're basically saying is, we can realize that we have the higher essence of us, the higher version of us, that is peace, that is love, that is high vibrational energy. That's the essence of who we really are. So when we stop and choose to connect to the inner being, we get closer to the higher version of us. Would that be correct?
Yes, and it's not just thinking it, it's feeling it. So we know now, research. I mean, there's research out there. There's books. Dr. David Hawkins, fabulous. He's well known in this field of talking about energy, feeling it. We know that when you feel anger, sadness, shame, fear, lowest vibrational energies that our body holds. And then the scale up here is love, joy, peace, highest. So even just tuning in, where am I? What am I feeling? Gives us so much information. And there's so much there. I mean, even groups like Heart Math, talk about this, about what you're feeling, you're projecting your energy out into your field. And it's just there's all this science about health, wellness, well-being, tuning in. Where am I? How am I living? And it's a choice. Like, okay, so for example, I'm angry, I'm sad. Can you name it? Feel it. Feelings aren't permanent, they move through us. And then, okay, as it starts to move through you, what now? Can you feel into the peace? Can you move into these higher vibrational energies? It takes a consciousness and a choice.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, it's literally moving from the fear, the stress, the doubt into the
Mm-hmm.
higher states of peace, knowing, connecting to source, love,
Mm-hmm.
energy, being of whole, because that's who we really are, right? So it's literally moving from down to up to the higher positive emotions. And I like that you mentioned feeling, because it's hard to think about it. It's more feeling
Mm-hmm.
that emotion of joy, happiness, of love, those higher emotions. For me, and I'm just thinking about it, like when I'm stressed, the fastest way that works for me is dance. I love to dance. That's like my
Mm.
biggest passion in life is
Mm.
dance. And
I
I'm
love
just,
dancing too.
thank you. And I'm a freestyle dancer. I'm not a professionally
Mm.
trained dancer, but I love it so much. It just flows. Like I'll put on music and the moves just flow. The choreography just happens magically. And
Mm.
that gets me out of the mind, the thinking, the worrying, and into the heart center. That's like for me the fastest way to feel that joy, the feeling of happiness is when I move or when I dance or when I listen to music. Like that shifts
Mm.
me fast. You know what
I
I'm talking
love
about?
that. I love it. I know, because you're feeling it and your cells are, I mean, there's all this research, of course, music, we take it into our body and our cellular memory, and just feeling it and living it. Oh, beautiful.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, that's a good reminder. Yeah, to kind of do what brings you joy, do what
Mm.
connects you to the heart center. And that's when you feel, right? Whether it's painting, whether it's walking in nature, like you said, like whatever like gets you to feel at peace, to feel the joy, I feel like is, I guess, the most powerful way to get there. But I want to get to
Mm.
another chapter in your book,
Mhm.
which is so this was chapter 2, being in the present moment, which is my favorite chapter. Chapter 3 is connecting with something greater. And I know there is some tools to use prayer, how to kind of ask for guidance. If you could share some tips on
Mhm. The chapter Connect with Something Greater. I just want to say I've worked with thousands of people as a chaplain and in my private practice. And everyone listening right now, it might be different for every single one of us. For some of us, it might be tuning in, and you might call it a sense of energy. Some people, it might be God, Allah, Brahma, Source. I mean, I think a starting place that I find helpful is, again, mentioning that we are energy. We are energy. Everything is energy. We have an energy field around us. And when you come into the moment, you breathe, you start to feel, and that's one of the exercises in that chapter, but you start to feel. Can you feel the vibration, whatever that feels like? When I breathe into my body and feel into that energy, I can feel like a pulsing vibration going through my body. And then feeling into that. And then what is that? What gives you meaning? Words like, well, religion, spirituality. Yes, I'm an ordained minister, board certified chaplain, but I think the word religion is hard for people. You know, I think there can be a lot of emotional attachment to that word. And I think of more man made doctrine, dogma. I love the word spirituality. What
that? Me
gives
too.
you meaning? And so going back to tuning in, coming in the moment, feeling energy, and then what gives you life? What is that? And continuing to open into that. And I'm all about being inclusive and ecumenical and just tuning in for everyone. What does that mean for you?
I love it. I love it. For me, like one of the I literally have notes. One of the chapters that I like, I think it's page 54. It's in the chapter of how to connect, and it says prayer practice to open, call out to something greater. And it says you can say to the higher power, to whatever spiritual energy you believe in, you know, um, be with me, pour your healing spirit through me, fill me with your love and light and peace, and help me open to your presence, your wisdom, your guidance, and lead me and guide me every step of my path. Protect me and my family. Be with me. Thank you. And then it says, let go and listen. Tell us about the let go and listen step.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's just, one suggestion of a prayer. I think there's no one set path. It's what is it? How does it speak to you? How do you connect with this source of energy? Um, and so putting out, yeah, your heart, your soul, you can say in a prayer or intention or a feeling. And then it's so important to again be still and to sense and feel again the guidance, listening to what's coming through you. What's, if it's a sense, again, feeling, sometimes, hearing words, just knowings come, a gut feeling, a knowing comes through you. I mean, I believe very much, I'm a big believer in the power of prayer, and it is putting out your intentions, but it's so important, just as important, or even more important, to then listen to the sensation, what you're getting, and the guidance you're getting.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. You know, the last probably the year and a half, I have become more open to the power of prayer because before I would just hear, yeah, prayer, yeah, you can call, but it doesn't really do anything. But the last year and a half, I started like learning a little bit more about it and practicing it more, literally consciously asking creator for help, asking the higher power for help. And it's like you said, it is one of the most powerful tools that we are not using. It literally is help that will come in the form of, thoughts or a nudge or a feeling or a message. Like sometimes I'll get a best message on a billboard with the answer. And sometimes it's, for example, I'll ask to help guide me through a situation. Like, I don't know how to
Mhm.
remove a fear. I don't know how to become more confident in that situation. I'll ask for something like that. And then magically, like the next day, a thought comes into my mind and like opens my mind to the consciousness to, wait a minute, I don't have to let them be in charge. I'm in charge. Like something will come through. And I was like, wait a minute, I just prayed for that yesterday. And so it's literally becoming more clear to me like this year how much the power of prayer actually works in our everyday life. They are listening, whoever you want to call them, and they are here to help us. So I feel like I very much agree with you. The power of prayer is so underutilized, but so available.
Yeah, I'm a big believer. And I experienced this and learned this at 11 years old. So it's been with me my whole life.
Tell us a little bit about that. I know that you mentioned that you had a very serious illness, and that time must have been very difficult for such a young person. You were very little, and how did you navigate that time?
Mhm. It was extremely hard, and then I look back and I would never be who I am today had I not gone through that. And so back in the 70s when I went through this, at the University of Minnesota, they had no program for children. No one talked to me about what was happening. Nothing. And my parents, I felt their love, but no, they didn't say anything to me. So I felt, as you can only imagine, going through treatments and everything, and that I just felt so alone, so alone. And I remember feeling like I was walking. I had this vision of a tightrope. I was between life and death. I was right on the edge. And that's when I, out of nowhere, started to pray. We intermittently would go to a Lutheran church, but nothing resonated with me. But I just, like, I want to live. And my prayer was, could I please live to be 20 years old. I thought if I lived to be 20, I would see the world. And I just kept praying and praying. I told no one. And then within months, one afternoon, all of a sudden, this peace just poured through my body. And it was just like, and it was just a knowing I wasn't alone. And it's so interesting when I look back now because I told no one then, but it gave me so much comfort, and it's been with me to this day. It was, yeah, a miracle, God's grace. It was so helpful because it was such a hard time. And then all of a sudden, I felt like I wasn't alone and that I was going to be okay.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And I like the key thing that you mentioned is you felt the presence, you felt the light, you
Mhm.
felt, and like you said, you can't really think about these things. You have to feel these
Mhm.
energies, you have to feel it, and that's when you can connect, and that's when you know, they're with you. That's only when you feel. I guess you allow yourself to feel.
Mhm.
I guess you have to like open up and let go. I think a lot of it is we have so much control. We try to control so much and we hold on, and it's hard for us to let go and allow. So I feel like that is also like an exercise in learning to um let go of control. We're
Mhm.
not really in
Absolutely.
control anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And the control, I think about control, it's our mind. It's our mind trying to understand and comprehend and push and resistance. And yeah, it's all a whole mind trip. And so even just can you have an awareness? I think all healing starts with awareness. Like, wow, I'm pushing, I'm resisting, I'm controlling, and just starting to have an awareness of that my mind is just going, and it's what's called even a limbic loop where you're worried, you're fearful, you're anxious. And then what happens, it's all connected. What we're thinking, that worry, the fear connects to the emotional response, the fear, the chemical release in our body, and we're just in this cycle. So you have to have a slight awareness, like, what's going on here? Oh, and there's the whole science of neuroplasticity, how we can rewire our brain. And I've studied this. I'm certified through Rick Hansen. Every one of us can change our brain structure based on neuroplasticity and some key core steps.
I love that. I love that. I am very much a believer in neuroplasticity myself. I have seen it so
Mm-hmm.
many times because I used to be like a very negative person. You couldn't come near me. I used to just be triggered and upset at the tiniest little thing. And, you know, working through all the spiritual teachings that I've been learning and using it all on myself, like it's been such a big shift. And I feel like it's like you said, it's retraining your mind, it's retraining your brain, removing the past hurt, the past, you know, childhood traumas, whatever happened. And I feel like it is possible, it is more possible than people realize. And just knowing that we have the ability to shift and to change, I feel like is so powerful. If you want to speak to any tools that work, that you love
Mm-hmm.
for that, yes.
Well, the neuroplasticity, every model I've studied, and again, through my certification, they all come to four key points. So I can share them
Yes,
here.
please.
The first point is, can you tune in and notice, what are you thinking? What is that negative thought, fear, anxious, worry? When we can name, step back, like, oh, I'm worrying about this, or I'm anxious about this. When we can name the thought, it starts to calm our nervous system. The second step is, and this is not always easy, but can you tune in and name the feeling? And I love to hold the word curiosity. When we're curious, we're in a calm parasympathetic state. So can you be curious, like, what am I feeling? Just breathe into your body. I actually feel anxious, for example. So can you name the feeling? When you name the feeling, it starts to calm your nervous system. Then can you feel the feeling? And I'll start with just breathing, breathe into your body. Can you notice where you feel it? Maybe it's your chest, your gut. Just notice where you feel it and breathe and feel it just even a little bit for a few minutes. When you do, the feelings, again, they're not permanent. They come through us. When we feel them, we release them. So, can you feel the feeling to let it go, releasing it for a few minutes? And then the fourth step is growing the good, marinating in the good. What does this look like? A positive affirmation, in this moment, I'm okay, or a positive image. For me, I go to my two dogs, Ollie and Bella. They're these white poofy dogs. It just makes my heart warm. And when you go to a positive image that just brings warmth, love into your heart, be with that. What that's doing is it's creating positive new neural pathways in our brain, and the negative pathways are dissipating. These are literally 4 steps of how we can rewire our brain.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing. I am obsessed with step number 4, and I believe that is so powerful to create the positive and repeat the positive, because
Mhm.
what I learned from my mom before she passed away, she was a teacher, and she got trained on the learning science. How does a human learn? And one of the top things she would always say is the brain learns through repetition. So if we're constantly repeating the negative and we're keeping that in a loop over and over again, that's what's going to grow, that's what's going to progress, and that's what's going to create the pathways. So if we consciously choose, like you just said, ruminate on the positive, which literally nobody does ever. What a shift that can be. I love that. That is so powerful.
Yeah, amen. I completely agree. And when we can get in a space of feeling love and love for ourselves, love, joy, peace, highest vibrational energies that our body holds. And it's so healing physically, emotionally, spiritually. So I just have to ask you,
Yeah.
how you said you were before negative, triggered easily. I'm just curious because you're just such a joyful person.
Oh, thank you.
And how did you make that shift? I mean, it's just I sorry, I just
I
need to
get that
ask.
asked. I do get that asked. That is such an interesting question. Thank you. For me, I didn't even notice the shift. I just like shifted, and this is who I am. And then when I mentioned it to people, they were like, "What? That's not true, is it?" I was like, "Yeah, that's true." How did you? So I'm just realizing it now that that is a big shift. So I would say for me, it was a 15-year journey, and I would say first step was to learn to see, like, pay attention. How do we speak to ourselves? What is the dialogue inside? Do you criticize yourself? Do you put yourself down? Right. So first, re-choosing how we speak to ourselves internally, and just kind of practicing more positive, like in the morning or in the evening, I would consciously write down, the 5 things I'm grateful for during that day. I would consciously write down, you know what I'm looking forward to the day. I would decide how I want the day to go. I would set the intention. I want the day to be joyful. I want the day to be positive. Like, I would decide how I want it to go, and I would repeat that for like maybe like a few months until it becomes, the norm. You have to like repeat things for a few months until it becomes what you want your new habit to be. And then the biggest shift for me was definitely the spiritual healing. This is like the inner child healing work that I got trained in also at the yoga retreat, where we go back to the past and we look at the smallest thing that could have happened. Maybe a teacher told you, you're not good at speaking, or maybe a neighbor laughed at you for your outfit, and all these tiny little things shape how we see ourselves and how we feel confident enough in reacting or not reacting, in speaking up or not speaking up. Like, my issue was I couldn't speak up for myself. So I would just be reactive because I didn't know how to speak about what my needs are. I didn't know how to say what I was feeling. So going back to the childhood and healing those little traumas will literally shift you as an adult, because that grows so much by the time you're an adult. That becomes you. Like, that becomes a
Mhm.
huge part of you, and how you interact with adults, how you choose to live, what kind of choices you make. So healing that was the biggest, I think,
Mhm.
shift, because it would be like one by one. I would go, I think it was maybe like 4 or 5 years of things coming up. This thing comes up, this thing comes up. And one of the favorite ways I like to do the exercise in healing is, first is asking what was the lesson to learn. And a lot of the times it would be understanding that had nothing to do with you. It was the other person was having a bad day and they took it out
Mhm.
on you, something like that. Second thing would be to forgive that person and forgive yourself. Stop carrying that blame, that guilt. Forgiveness is like huge. It really releases a lot of the past hurt and all that stuff. And step three, after we remove the old, we have to fill it up with something new.
Mhm.
So step three is I would literally visualize myself a more powerful person, a more confident person in that moment, like the little child version of me. I am speaking up for myself. I'm not staying quiet, like, because a lot of times I would just stay quiet. And so those three, I think, steps definitely would be, I would do for each instance that I would recall. Like I would ask my intuition to recall, what is this incident connected to? Like it would be something in the present moment. And as an adult, that would happen. That would bother me. I'm like, where is the origin of it? Show me the origin of it. And it would go take me to the past and be like the smallest little thing that happened. And that became my reality, so so definitely like shifting that little by little, like you were saying, I think, or someone was saying, it's like peeling the onion, right? There's layers and layers. So
Mhm.
going through each event that happened one by one over the years, eventually, finally, the real Maria came out.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you
you.
for sharing that, because it's healing our inner child, healing family of origin, healing any kind of even small traumas we've all had, to heal it, to be able to be fully empowered in who you are and your essence. That's it. And wow, thanks for sharing. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I feel like a lot of us don't realize how much as an adult we
Mhm.
carry of what happened to us as a child. And,
Exactly. Yep.
and we just keep thinking about it and we keep ruminating on it. And it just like people unfortunately keep going like that into their 60s and 70s and never addressing it, because we are not taught that in school. The school doesn't talk about any of the emotional health or the mental, it doesn't really address any of those things. And so it's just up to us to do our own research, to do our own learning, getting a book like Everyday Awakening that helps us be in the present moment,
Right.
which I still think is one of the most powerful steps anyone can do, is learning to stay in the present moment is such a life shifting practice. I think everybody should try. And of course, there's a lot more exercises in the book. I'm not going to give it all away, but there is literally a whole master list of
Mhm.
exercises on page 159 that has so many amazing exercises. Um, okay, we have a few more minutes. I have a few more questions.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And I'd love to just also share with your
Yeah.
story and my learnings. And I write about this in my book. It's one thing to get in the front of your brain, the trauma, what happened as a child, attachment issues, whatever, to talk about it, which is cathartic, but you also have to feel somatically, feel it, release it, to integrate it is critical. And what you
Uh,
did in your story you just shared, you let the energy out, you let the feelings out, but that is the depth of the healing.
Yeah, exactly. I love it how you put it. Yes, it's releasing that feeling, because that's what we literally carry that in the aura
Yes,
field. We keep carrying
completely.
that around.
Yep. We carry it until we release it. And once we release it, like, oh, here I am.
Yeah, you feel lighter. You literally
Yeah.
feel lighter and lighter and lighter. Each step is like it's literally like like they describe, like the bricks
Oh,
of your back come off,
totally.
and come off. I
It is true. Yes, I
That's
get
funny
this.
because I literally have scoliosis thing, which is like the back
Mm.
is shaped like an S.
Mhm.
And somebody was like a qigong, one of those Chinese masters teachers, told me that it originally caused by, as a child, you were split into doing what the parents want you to do versus what you want to do, and you would get like this split
Mm.
energy. So as I'm doing this
Mm.
healing work and learning to do what I want to do and things like that, it's literally the back is literally straightening up
Mm,
because you don't carry that, that fear
and the
of the
burden.
pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
Mhm.
interesting, like how
Yeah,
the physical
amen. I
body.
believe in all of this, and I get it, and I've experienced it personally, professionally. Yep.
Really? I love that.
Mm,
Would you want to share any favorite, I guess, things that you work with your one-on-one clients? Or I know you have a lot of people that come to you for help. What are your favorite things that you love to help people on with the lawyers and the doctors or whoever?
yeah. And I work with a lot of women, especially, gosh, 40, 50, 70, up to 70, 80, who just, people just wanting more. So the practice, yes, of where are you, what's holding you back, what's causing suffering, trying to unearth that and find and tap into that peace and ease in our body and why we're here, what it means to be alive. One of my favorite go-tos personally, but also in my practice, I'll share with people is how, and I have a section of this in my book, a small section, but how to work with energy. Again, we're energy, we have an energy field, but we are all empathic, some more than others, some pick up more than others, but all day long, if it's in person, if it's turning on the news, which is like, oh, jarring, that's energy and we're taking it in. And there's a way, and this is now medically in medical textbooks, which is like so exciting. We can work with energy mindfully, not to take in negative, heavy energy that will dysregulate us, that will cause us, unrest, where we're mirroring in our mind, our brain, the suffering, what we're witnessing on TV, what we're witnessing in the public, what people, the heavy energy. We can create an energy field where we're really grounded and we're empowered and we're not getting dysregulated by outer energy. That I found in my life. I've been practicing this for over 20 years and it's life changing.
I love that. What a powerful tip. I don't think I've heard that before. So that is very interesting. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a section in my book where I talk about this. I talk about energy. I talk about here's 3 different ways. I mean, in the moment right now, I can say, we imagine you have an eggshell or bubble around you as far as your arms extend, and any heavy negative energy hits that and drops away. Or you have an eggshell with mirrors on the outside. So any negative energy hits that and reflects back. Or this is a little more esoteric. I set up intention. I'm going to send love to everyone I encounter, everything. So I'm going to send, 70% receive, 30, 80, 20, 90, 10. But it's just, so there's different ways we can each work with energy as to how it resonates with each of us. But I learned this and I fine tuned this when I was working at our level 1 trauma hospital. And it helped me be a really more effective caregiver, to be with patients and families and not burn out, where I could be grounded and empowered. And I work with this every day. So people are interested. I have a section of it in my book, but I have found it one of the most life-changing practices I've ever utilized and continue to.
I love that. Yes, I definitely agree with the setting the intention is so powerful when you work with
Mhm.
energies because it is energy and it wants to know, where are you directing me to? What is the intention you want me to like? That
Yeah.
is the key, is setting the intention. I think that's like half of the work right there.
Mhm. I agree.
Directing it, you have to direct it. What do you want it to do?
I agree. I totally agree.
And
Mm.
then I feel like, yeah, I think people maybe forget that we have this physical world, but like as we were talking about before, we have the aura field, which is an energetic field around us, and the higher source connection, it's all energy. Like you were just saying, everything is energy all around us, literally everywhere. And so if we choose to utilize that powerhouse that's available, a lot can happen.
Yeah, yeah. It's again choices. How do you want to live? What do you want to experience? Are you just even open? Open. I want to keep learning and growing. If we're open, it's all there. It's exciting.
I love it. I love, yeah. So I definitely hope a lot of people get this book, which has a lot of amazing exercises that I can tell you right now will be life changing for whoever takes it, even if you've learned everything you think you've learned about the spiritual laws. Still, you'll be surprised. I think still you will be
Mm.
surprised. I definitely recommend it. So the last three questions before we go that I have are um, what do you want people to know about their own power?
That we are empowered. We have this incredible life force within us. I believe connected. We're connected with all and this universal energy. And can you start there? Can you feel into that and really open into what that means for you and living from there? That is our essence. That's our source. And that's, I think, who we're called to be in this earth of opening into this consciousness. And I think at the end of the day, I'd call it love, this oneness, love. And that's what we take with us when we die, this energy, this sense of love and how much we've loved on this earth.
Oh, I love that. I know we didn't really get to talk much about what happens after we die, which you are very much an expert on. We'll have to do that part two
Yeah, yeah.
sometime in the future because that's a very exciting thing. I heard about all the lessons you learned about the afterlife, which is super exciting. I definitely believe that it exists. And the next question I have is, what would you say everyday awakening means?
I think it's about opening into our heart, our soul. I think our heart's a doorway to our soul, to our essence, to this one universal consciousness that is our being and living from there.
I love it. Yes, that is perfect, perfect. So I definitely wanna, usually I like to like acknowledge the guest before we wrap up. So I want to acknowledge you, Catherine Duncan, for what you are doing and being brave enough to leave the corporate, to be brave enough to follow your own path, even though you've had a very challenging journey since you were 11 years old, of all kinds of things we didn't even get to, other parts of your journey, but I feel like it is very brave of someone like you to choose the unknown, to choose, the unpopular path, and choose to help people, choose to serve in a way that you have the gift of doing. So I definitely want to acknowledge you for that, and I hope you keep doing that. And and
Thank you. It's a calling. I
I
just
know, right? It's like
listen.
not everyone
Yeah.
has the ability that you have. You're very
Mm.
different from a lot of different humans that I have met, for
And
sure.
I look so normal, don't I?
Yeah, she looks normal, but she's magical.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm a
So
mystic.
where
Yeah.
can people find you? Like, is there like a website or an Instagram or?
Yes, my website's Catherine with a C, catherineduncan.org. I have everything on there. I'm on every social media channel, Instagram, Catherine Duncan, MABCC. You'll find me, and same Facebook, TikTok, everywhere. Yeah. And then my book's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and my podcast is on my website. And yeah. So thank you so much for having me on. I love your energy, your joyfulness. It's contagious. I just like, it was a great time spent with you. You're really a
Oh,
blessing. Thank you.
thank you so much, everybody. Go get her book.
Thank you.